Welcome to my new mini-series. I'm going to teach you how to play the Diablo 2 hack or mod, Median XL. First things first, if you have not played Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction, at least played like through the axe and know how the ARPG works, don't even try to play this mod. It's confusing. It kind of relies on a base of Diablo 2. You could jump into it, but you should be a fan of the game and have at least played it. There was a mega update about a year-ish ago that changed a lot of stuff, and I replayed and built some characters, but for this it's just going to be a beginner's guide. So, right now here is my highest level character that I've been farming with, and, you know, what even is all this? I have a set. What does sacred mean? Why do some of the items say sacred? Why do you get 500 arrows that don't go down? Do you get unlimited arrows? What are all these charms? What is a class charm? What are all these different skills? New summons? Summons you can get from weapons, spells you can get from weapons. Complete different ways the stats work. You get a whole huge stat sheet to show everything. It's a lot. There's a lot in this game. And the volume is turned way down for some reason, I'm not sure why. But what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna make a new character and start off what you should be doing in the beginning, what to look for. And we're gonna play up until the point about mid-nightmare. It shouldn't take too long. And we're going to get into crafting, builds, and all that, and what all of this stuff is, because, I mean, there's potions and orbs and stuff, there's honorific items, like this belt I made that is shrine blessed, and yeah, so this game is very open with crafting and items. There are still very good super items at the end, like the sets, but it has streamlined a lot of things. Before I start, a big thing that they streamlined is there are only 3 gems, in terms of quality, not in terms of type. There's only standard gems, flawless, and perfect. Very much streamlines a lot of stuff. And you only need 2 gems in your Herodric Cube to actually upgrade them. The Herodric Cube is a big thing. It has a big inventory. You have a big inventory. You need it, trust me. But a lot of things have changed. But yeah, see, I just take 2 gems. Boom. So some things are similar, some things are not. But yeah. Pretty much, we're gonna start with an assassin. I have not played... Oh yeah, I am gonna go with my assassin, but let me go over the characters. Oh no, the volume just went nuts. Volume, no. Okay. They haven't changed a ton, but there's a lot more builds, and it's amazing. So you can see there's different types of them now. So you have the Amazon, the Wild Children of Skartara. So yeah, you can be a warrior bringer of storm and fury and empowered by the pagan blood magic. So she's more pagan-y, Zakarum, not really Zakarum, but kind of more like witch doctor, not really, but she's got the pagan gods with the elements and stuff. She can, there's a lot of trees. Each character gets way more skills in trees. If I remember with the Amazon, she gets, oops, that's the assassin. The Amazon gets a bow tree, a spear tree, she gets a blood tree for blood magic. She's a very glass cannon character. I wouldn't recommend her for a beginner class because you have to be able, you're not really tanking, you're sort of just running around being very fast and dodging, whereas, say, a barbarian or something with a paladin, you can at least be more protective or, you know, spells and stuff. So not really recommended for a beginner, but there are a ton of builds for her online for single player bow, which I actually am building. And if you ever want to play any character, I recommend going on the forum and checking out some basics with them too, not just me explaining. The assassin is more ninja-y in that she has a trap thing, but she also gets like little like lasers and detonation stuff. She gets mind abilities, throwing abilities. She has a throwing tree, which we're going to get into because I'm going to make a throwing assassin. But for the most part, she's interesting because she's complicated, but you can easily get defense by, she gets a 60% avoid, and I think she has a skill that gives her good physical resist. Defense in this game has changed, and I will get into that later. Necromancer, yep, you can summon. You also have I think you have a fire and like a bone tree for, it's like a spellcasting tree. I can't remember. I never tried it. Because when I spellcast, I pick the druid or the sorceress. You have a melee necromancer who uses a scythe. It's awesome. You have a crossbow necromancer who uses crossbows and, like, alchemy. Also very awesome. And then you have the summons, obviously. Those are cool. There's a different flavor. It's not just, you know, you get skeletons, you get a ranged attacker, and you get something called Nighthawks. You summon them, and they're kind of like Scourge, and they fly and they explode. And then you get the totem tree, where you construct from corpses totems that fire spells. Very interesting. Barbarian, yep, he still has his strength, and he's got a lot of passives. But now they've given him a whole throwing axe tree. He's got a whole melee tree. He's got a whole tree just for Whirlwind, if you want to play around with that. And he actually has a summoning tree with his ancestors. A little different in terms of summoning than the Necromancer, though. That they're more like a little supportive army than just like a bunch of fodder. Oh boy, the Paladin. Paladin in the first game was pretty boring. In this one, he gets so much stuff. He gets Nephilim abilities that let him strike out automatically. He gets unholy trees that are more damage and like glass cannony. He gets a neutral trees that do it's just, he's complicated. I have not messed with him, so I can't describe too much, but he is interesting. Sorceress I've messed around with a lot. She gets her tree. She has poison, fire, ice, and lightning. Ice is close quarters. They're melee attacks, though you're using spells. Like, you're using your actual magic stats, not like a weapon. She's using an orb for that, not a staff. She does get a melee tree, and she gets a mana tree, where she casts spells that drain mana from other attackers, or gets rid of her mana, and it's sort of like a feedback. It deals damage based on how much magic you've lost, or mana you've lost. It's interesting. The melee tree is interesting, too. She can summon little blades. And then there's the druid. He has 3 wereforms. There's the wolf, which is sort of teleporting around, always trying to steal mana to cast your spells, because you have permanent mana drain. But you can steal it back. You teleport around, hit things with cold and tornadoes, and you can summon little wolves. Bear is pure, just tank strength and stomp. You get the ability to turn into a statue, and you're all about defense and physical defense, and your statue form can release attacks, too. It's fun. Is it picking up the music at all? It's weird. It keeps... Hey, whatever. This game. And then he has the Were-Owl, which is sort of like a dagger ranged kind of thing where you summon little hawks and stuff. And then he has even more trees. He has a bow tree. He has a nature tree where you can summon poison things and poison vines. He has a fire and ice tree, which is like a weather tree. And yeah, it's amazing how much stuff we have here. So, first thing is, we're going to get into my assassin. I'm just going to go over some very basic stuff, end the video, and then start playing after that. So yeah, look at all of the trees. We have Ninja, which is like some teleporting spells, passive buffs, and such. Throwing, which is I'm going to become... I wanted to make a Stormcrow assassin, which I'll get into. Basically, when you make a character, even before you know everything, you can get from Akara... It is really, really soft again. I don't know why the volume keeps doing that. You can get, after you defeat, I think it's after you do the Den of Evil, you get unlimited stat and skill resets from Akira until you're level 50. So you can fool around a lot, especially with all these trees. So every class has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Usually one of them is some kind of buff or just like a tree. And each class also has a ton of different things just for them. So in the beginning game, the assassin had her special assassin claws. The sorceress had orbs, and they gave like the necromancer a necromancer shield. The druid got druid helms, etc. So in this, there's a lot more. I think there's an assassin shield, an assassin helm, and an assassin axe for the Naga-Ida tree, which is like a big two-handed thing. But for most part, items are pretty the same, but you'll notice see how there's a number 1, Qatar 1. Oh, there's also no more durability. Huzzah. First thing, sockets can be put into everything. Your gloves, all this can be socketed. I think I can show... I'm not going to open up my inventory yet. This is the inventory you usually start with, except these runes. I'm gonna show you how good rune words are in the beginning of the game, and why that should be what you're going for first. These are pretty easy to get. Runes drop much better, and they only take 2 to transmute to the next level. Yeah, I got the skills. The two trees that every single class has is mastery. It's always the same. These are all passes that everyone gets. You get meditation, which is basically warmth in a way. It increases maximum mana and mana regeneration, and it increases as you do character. The max level's 3. Purity, same thing, except with curse and poison length, which is really good because poison skills are pretty deadly. Melee devotion, I'll go over that later. Let me go over freedom first. This is just, you know, block and hit speed. I might get this on her because it also gives a half freeze duration. Now, melee devotion is easy, so yeah, it completely disables any skill that is not just a melee attack. So these are projectiles, so you'll see attack. Or, for example, I think one of the characters can summon the sorceress can get melee devotion, but she can still summon a raven because it's a special summon, but that's it. You can't use anything else but buffs and melee. But it's still really useful because that is a 20% reduction from all sources, and you need that. The rest of these are just other buffs, HP. Specialization, you can get more max skills, but these all have to be unlocked by killing stuff, except these. So this stuff's a little different. Then finally we have reward. Every class has this. They get 2 special skills. The first one is your first challenge that you have to do in killing Mephisto and Nightmare. I'll go over that. And then the next one, yeah, that's a advanced dungeon you have to go into. Takes level 115. But yeah, you get these pretty much for free, and they're usually really good, and then you pick an ultimate skill. Normally it says what tree it'll go to, but these do not. But they usually do something pretty good, and they'll match up with what you want to do. I'm not sure what I'm going to get. I haven't looked it up yet. But yeah, so now we have the stats. Ooh, the stats. I'll turn the music back on, actually. Hold up. Can I? Oh, where's this? Preference settings? Oh, there we go. Does that help? Yeah, there we go. Jeez, I don't know why there was, like, no sound. Okay, so stats are way different. In the original Diablo 2, you pretty much just put in points to strength and dexterity to get what you needed to wear items, unless you were going for max block, and the rest went into vitality. Energy was more or less useless. You could easily get enough mana or mana sustained through, like, steal or mana after each kill. You didn't need energy. In this game, everything scales with everything. There are skills that scale with all 3 of these. Most magic skills, if you're just a caster, is going to scale with energy. Weapons scale with different things. See how it says dexterity damage bonus? Bows and other, like, dexterity-based, you know, you gotta be lithe and you gotta be moving around to use these. And then, like, a 2-handed axe would have a strength bonus. I will give more examples in the stash here. Like, see how this says dexterity because it's a spear, but this is an axe and it says strength damage bonus. And yeah, see, this is a barbarian-only weapon. Interesting. Yeah, this is stuff. I'm not going to use anything except runes, so I don't have to grind for runes. I'm not going to use anything for my stashes when I'm leveling up this character, but this will all be explained later. But yeah, so it's important to know. Let me actually go towards one of my skills here. Let's just open traps. I'm seeing if there's something that shows... Yeah, see how it says energy, synergy, increased damage. If we're going towards my throwing, this is weapon damage, so it would be pertinent for me to level up my weapon damage. So dexterity. Let's see. Not much else, because this is weapon damage stuff. But yeah, so... It's just good to see. Like the paladin, for example, has some vitality dependent ones. So just keep an eye out for that. And strength, you need a lot of strength to wear some of the later stuff. Where was one? These are set items. These are the uniques. These are the uniques. So yeah, these are high-level uniques. I'm trying to find... See, look. 500, that's a ton. 404, these are the high-level stuff. And then the rest of the tree, you got your resists. And what you're tied. Not really important. Resists are very important in this game, though. You should be piling them on early, and I'll go over that as I play. And then there's all this other stuff. I don't really have to explain this. It pretty much tells you what everything is. It's just nice that you don't have to open up something. It's all right here. Okay. Items. Basic. I think I should go over that in crafting later. Those are pretty much the basics. Let's see. I went over runes, but there's not much else I can think of other than the crafting stuff. As for example, if you go over here to Geed,
Good day.
he has all of this stuff. What does all this do? I'll explain that later when I do that. I think that's it. You can look up very specific stuff like calculations and breakpoints on the site, on the forum. And there's different stuff. There's penalty to resistances, there's penalties with bosses to leech, and damage from mercenaries and stuff. All the stuff that you can look up later. There's also a difference between mercenaries. Huge differences. Mercenaries are amazing in this game, and you can soup them up with tons of good stuff. Hardcore similar. Not really sure what to talk about in terms of items and stuff now. Just because I will go to a mid-range character and show. So I'll go to Alec. He's my werebear druid. He's not at 50 yet because I've been this is my character that I have looked up items that I wanted and upgraded them and did my own sort of build, and I'm just playing around with him. So what you'll do is after you play for a certain amount and you get probably I want to say nightmare difficulty, so after you kill Bale, well, not really, I want to say around Bale, Act 5, Bale and Neelathak, or at least Neelathak and Mephisto, you can start grinding for stuff. And I picked all these uniques out. You can make your own uniques, and I'll go over it. And so it's very fun because you can pick what you think you want, level it up, and go with it. And you can also make these green items, which are honorific, so we'll go over that later. That's about it for stats. The other new things is jewels are really important. You're also going to see a lot more drop. Runes, I already told you, like, this is all the early runes and like I said, I'm not using any of this other stuff. This is just stuff I'm saving. The other thing that are new in this game, that are really important, there are new runes. These enhanced runes. Elemental runes, which only drop in another spot, and then I think there's like high runes or something. And then the other new thing are shrines, which I'll get into. That is advanced crafting. Other than that, we're gonna play this game as my assassin, and we're going to follow somewhat of a guide online because I didn't want to make one myself. I didn't want to go through the whole picking thing, just in general. We're gonna start off and you're gonna learn kind of how to play and get started. My recommendation for early characters are probably a Boazon, some kind of elemental sorceress that isn't ice, and a necromancer, a summon necromancer, for starting off being easy for you and giving you the ability to farm for other characters. But for now, next episode I will start playing as my assassin. Bye! It's loud! Ah, hellfire!